Breaking news from Fox 32. Thank you for joining us. I'm Scott Schneider.
I'm Dawn Hasbrook. We begin with former Governor Rob Blagojevich, pardoned tonight by President Trump. Blagojevich is speaking right now outside his home on the north side. Let's listen.
Those two elections, I want to particularly thank you for the second election. Had there been more of you in that one, I wouldn't have gone where I ended up going. But most importantly, I want to talk a little bit just about what's, I believe, the greatest constitutional crisis in American history since the Civil War. And that is this weaponization of prosecutors for political purposes, rigged courts, a broken justice system that is historically been racist in America, now has become weaponized in America. And I also want to say how lawfare and the misuse of the power of prosecutors in the courts must never be part of the political process. Abraham Lincoln said it right when he talked about government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that's what's at stake here. And so moving forward, as we learn from the past, without bitterness, always remembering, I want to simply say that I'm determined to do whatever I can as a private citizen, volunteer my time and efforts to do the best I could to fight for justice and to do what I think is right. I'm going to wrap it up and introduce my lawyer, Leonard Goodman, here in 1 second, but I would like to share a quick little story about my early days in prison, way back in 2012, 2013, 2014, when they put me in a prison behind a barbed wire fence. The inmates call it the razor wire. This is fresh in my mind because I'm writing a book about that experience, and I can't help but forget the things that, you know, some of the experiences I went through. And I remember one of my first visits to see Patty and our kids, and our little Annie was still only 8 years old. And before going in to see my family, there's a fee you have to pay, a price you have to pay before you can see your family, and it's being searched. Full body cavity strip search going in, a full body cavity strip search going out. And while I was doing one of those undignified things, a kind-hearted correctional officer, one of the prison guards, a man who was raised in the black churches and had a deep, abiding faith in the Christian faith, told me a story. He advised me, go read Genesis chapter 38 to 50, the story of Joseph. And at the end of that story, a man who was innocent was condemned to prison, but God favored him and pulled him out. At the end of that story, Joseph says to those who persecuted him and had something to do with what happened to him, his brothers who had sold him out, he said, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. I truly believe that as bad as this has been, I can't begin to tell you how blessed and fortunate I've always felt to be able to walk through life with Patty. It's been a most gracious thing. She defied the odds. 2 days after I was arrested, the Vegas odds makers had it 9-1 that she was going to leave. She didn't leave, she stayed. After 8 years of incarceration, when better than 90% of women, whether they're wives or significant others, and a man's in prison for more than 4 years, they don't stick around. So I've been blessed and fortunate to have fallen in love with and walked through life with my loving wife and our daughters. It was faith, hope, and love that brought us home. And so grateful to the people who've been supportive of us, who've been so kind with their words of encouragement through all those hard years. And again, above all, one more time, let me tell you from the bottom of my heart how deep my appreciation and gratitude is for President Trump. I believe President Trump is well on his way to being the most consequential president in American history since Franklin Roosevelt. He is going to change things and make things better, and among the things he's going to change, I believe, he's going to save our democracy by putting a stop to weaponized prosecutions for political purposes and lawfare. Thank you. Leonard?
Rod, real quick, do you want